Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about in today's NFL recap. What's going on, guys? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to episode number 2 of the National Football League recap. We are going to have a lot of fun today simply because there's so many things to talk about. We have trades, we have potential trade rumors, we have Antonio Brown farting on doctors.
This is pretty freaking low. Not bad.
And also his first game with the Patriots. Eli Manning is being benched for Daniel Jones. There's just, oh my gosh, this one's going to be a crazy episode. If you guys are new to the channel, I post these NFL recaps every single Tuesday, so make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Also, if you're going to any football games, use code FUZZY to save $20 off on SeatGeek because I know the tickets can get up there in price, so saves you 20 bucks, might as well do it. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into it. If you see me looking down, it's because we have so much to unravel, and I have my little script right here. So the first thing is we have to talk about the Dolphins, who might be the worst team in NFL history, trading their best player Minkah Fitzpatrick to another team, the Steelers, who have Mason Randolph as their starting quarterback. So I'm not sure what the Steelers are doing because they gave up a 2020 first round pick. Jalen Ramsey might not be on the Jaguars for much longer because he has requested a trade. I've heard that 2 teams in the AFC are going for him as well as the NFC, so it could be, I mean, maybe it's the Broncos, maybe it's the Chiefs. I've heard that the Chiefs are going for him, and then I've heard that the Chiefs aren't going for him. Then I see Tyreek Hill saying that he wants to get Jalen Ramsey literally on Twitter, so that's another thing. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think that Jalen Ramsey is going to get traded and to where. And then also we have Jamal Adams, who just unfollowed the Jets and is no longer having them in his bio, both on Twitter and Instagram. So is he going to get traded? The Jets are awful. The Dolphins are awful. I don't blame them for not wanting to be on the team. And then last but not least, for the breaking news, Eli Manning has officially been benched. Daniel Jones, who was pretty impressive in preseason, aside from actually fumbling, because that's his one issue. If he can correct that, he's going to be a pretty good starting quarterback. But I mean, Eli Manning, the fact that he went 116 and 116, he was a 500 quarterback, but he beat Tom Brady. He slayed the Giant, no pun intended, because he plays for the Giant twice in the Super Bowl. I think that he's probably going to get some Hall of Fame votes. So I want you guys to let me know, where do you think Jalen Ramsey is going to get traded? Second question of today is, do you think that Eli Manning is going to make the Hall of Fame? Let me know, because that's just a little bit of news. We have to talk about all the games now. So we're going to talk about the Thursday game just for a little bit, because Cam Newton, I'm not sure if he's injured, because I've heard some reports that his foot is actually not well. He did not look great in the game. He actually lost the Buccaneers, which is hard to do because Jameis Winston, I mean, again, I've made the joke before that he has failed to put win in Winston. And then after the game, I mean, Cam Newton, he looked like the old woman from It 2. It just, I don't know what he's doing with his style. That has nothing to do with his game. He said he had to look himself in the mirror, so I'm hoping that there's going to be some good things going forward. Christian McCaffrey was also shut out because the Buccaneers said, hey, if Cam Newton cannot throw, we're going to make sure Christian McCaffrey is shut down and he's not going to wreck us. And that's exactly what happened. Dalvin Cook tried his best to overcome Kirk Cousins, but when you're playing Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and the rest of the Green Bay Packers defense, if you have any sort of miscue, Aaron Jones is going to take advantage of that. And then, oh yeah, the second Aaron freaking Rodgers, possibly the best quarterback, because there's also Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people are saying that he's better than Rodgers now. I think that the Packers are the real deal. With Aaron Rodgers and that defense, they're going to be really hard to stop. Dak, aka Mr. Secure the Bag Prescott, had an amazing game. If we take a look at his stats, I actually don't have them in front of me, but he had a huge game, as well as Ezekiel Elliott. He went for 111 runs with a touchdown. So when you have Dak Prescott doing his thing at the same time as Ezekiel Elliott, you have a recipe for winning a lot of ball games. Now, the only thing is, they've played the Giants and the Redskins, and they've looked pretty unbeatable in both games. So do you think that the Cowboys are for real, or do you think that they're just a product of 2 really bad teams? Let me know. This game was super exciting. We have rookie Kyler Murray going up against Lamar Jackson, 2 guys that have not played a lot of games. Kyler Murray now has 2 games under his belt. I think Lamar Jackson is up to 10 or so games, so he still doesn't even have a full 16 games under his belt, but he's looking absolutely amazing. Lamar was able to beat Kyler Murray, who threw for 349 yards. Lamar threw for 272 yards with 2 touchdowns, and on top of that, he also had 120 yards rushing. So the fact that Kyler's not really rushing, I'm not sure if that would help him just a little bit, but if he can play exactly like he has been, Kyler's going to be good for a long time. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't enough to beat the Ravens. We just talked about how Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback, and in my opinion, he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. They were actually losing 10-0 against the Raiders, and I think Mahomes just kind of said, you know what, we're not doing this. We're not losing to this bad team. He had 4 touchdown passes in a single quarter, the second quarter. It was a really weird game because the Raiders scored 10 in the first, the Chiefs scored 28 in the second, and then 0 points were scored in the second half. half. Just a really weird game. Also, Demarcus Robinson, the dude had like 200 reception yards in the first 2 seasons combined, and then he goes for like 180 yards, something like that. So there's just so many weapons that the Chiefs have. I think that they're pretty much going to be unstoppable. They might win 14 to 15 games this year pretty easily. Antonio Brown finally made his first appearance for the New England Patriots. He got his first touchdown. So what we're going to do right now, it was a really lopsided game. It was 43-0. We know that the Dolphins are pretty much tanking at this point, or maybe they're tanking. I'm not really too sure. They just traded their best player. Yeah, Antonio Brown with his first touchdown catch. Roll it.
Brady, end zone, caught by Brown, touchdown, New England. Antonio Brown wearing number 17 for his father, Eddie Brown.
A quick little update on Antonio Brown. There's been some reports that he farted on a doctor. There's a second person involved in his whole allegations against women. So there's the first woman, then there's the second woman. He farted on a doctor, and now an aquarium is suing him because he did not take care of it, and now there's a bunch of dead piranhas. What's going on with Antonio Brown? Mason Randolph is going to have to carry the Pittsburgh Steelers because we all know that Ben Roethlisberger is now done for the season. He is going to have to get elbow surgery. But even if Ben Roethlisberger was healthy, I would still say that the Seahawks win this ball game because Russell Wilson, you cannot stop him. And now that you give him DK Metcalf as a target, I'm telling you, the Seahawks, they're for real this year. Not a lot of people are talking about them, but they're here. I'm pretty sure 99% of us watched the Browns versus the Jets game. It was a really awful game, at least in my opinion. Yes, Baker Mayfield moved into the third all-time for the most passing yards through his first 16 games. He's right behind Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Luck. But the Jets defense, they tried their best. They were pretty much on the field the entire game. Odell Beckham had a really awesome one-handed catch. He had 160-something yards. So I think the Browns, if their offense can continue to get better, along with Myles Garrett, who is an absolute savage, he might get 20 sacks this year easily. Drew Brees will be out for the next 5 to 6 weeks with a thumb injury. He threw a pass and his thumb deflected off the hand of Aaron Donald, so he actually tore a ligament. He's going to have to get surgery. He will be done for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Now, I will say that the Rams with Cooper Kupp, this play right here, I'm going to go ahead and say this might be one of the better plays that I've seen all year because there's been quite a few so far. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, amazing. The next 2 games I want to talk about real quick, we have the 49ers game and the Eagles game. We have Carson Wentz, who was a little bit shaky. I will say that they were playing the Atlanta Falcons, and sometimes they just play really well, especially when you have Julio Jones running 20 miles an hour on a touchdown. Jimmy Garoppolo finally put Jimmy G back in Jimmy G because he was not looking good for a good amount of time. So we're going to go ahead and roll some highlights from both of those games right now.
Third down, and looking for a hole, and what a juke there by Breida, and off to the race, down the sideline with a man.
One, they do. Off they go. Catches may get the first and a lot more. Julio Jones out in front. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown.
So if you guys did not follow Ninja on Twitter, he said that the Lions would go undefeated this year, and so far they're 2-0. They actually beat a pretty good team in the Chargers. I think the Chargers have one of the most complete rosters in all of football, but just like the Broncos, I'm not sure what's going on with the Chargers defensive line because they have Nick Bosa, a bunch of other guys. They don't have any sacks in that game, so pretty tough loss for the Chargers in my opinion because they lose the game and they lose Pro Bowler Adrian Phillips. When Andrew Luck retired, the Colts pretty much put all of their chips into one basket. They said, you know what, Jacoby, we're going to ask you to take us to the promised land. They gave him a bunch of money, and so far they've actually looked pretty decent. Marcus Mariota, he was pretty bad in that game. Kobe, on the other hand, was actually pretty decent. Now, I will say, when the Colts win after fumbling and they gave up an interception, that just says something about the other squad. So the Titans, just a week after decimating the Cleveland Browns, they didn't look that great against the Colts. Eli Manning, a New York legend, has officially been benched. We all know what he's done in his career. He slayed the Giant twice in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. One of those Patriots teams was 16-0. They were perfect on the season. They were supposed to be the greatest team in the history of the National Football League. The Giants, we saw face off against the Buffalo Bills, and we know Eli Manning and that defense, they could not contain Mr. Josh Allen, who is honestly very underrated in terms of his legs. I think the Bills, they know who they're supposed to be. They have good defense and they run the ball. Recipe for success, in my opinion. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that Daniel Jones is going to be a decent starter, or do you think that he's going to exceed expectations and be really good? I don't really know. He was good in the preseason, but that's all I saw. The last 2 games I want to talk about were a little bit weird because they kind of came down to one play. We have the Jaguars with a guy named Gardner Minshew having a really good game. If we take a look, the dude threw 23 of 33 with a touchdown and 56 yards rushing. Now, the only thing is he went up against Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson, just like like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. He doesn't have the fastest legs, but my man can move. That's 2 back-to-back games where it pretty much comes down to the final play. And then after that, we all know my favorite team is the Denver Broncos. It was a very sloppy game. The refs were very soft. They called a couple bogus roughing the passer calls. As the Bears, they finally seemed to have found a kicker.
Está en su pierna derecha. Va a venir de 53 yardas. ¡Y es bueno! Field bueno por parte de Eddie Piñeiro.
Alright guys, well that is going to do it for today's NFL recap. Let me know what you think of all of the crazy headlines. We saw a bunch of crazy games. We have Adrian Phillips breaking his arm, so I'm not sure what that's going to mean for the Chargers defense. We have Jalen Ramsey possibly on the move. Joel Adams might be on the move. We just saw Minkah Fitzpatrick traded. There's just, there's so many things happening. I'm going to go ahead and leave it to you guys. What has been the biggest storyline from week number 2? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Do not miss it. Week number 3 is coming to you live next Tuesday. It's going to become a weekly series. I'll see you guys there. Peace out.